Meghan Markle's long-awaited Netflix comeback was supposed to be her redemption arc. Season 2 was meant to silence critics, rewrite the narrative, and finally prove that the Duchess-turned-producer could dominate streaming on her own terms. Instead, what followed was a painfully public reality check. Low rankings, lukewarm audience response, and a brutal dose of cultural mockery, capped off by a widely shared Graham Norton moment that crystallized how far her star power has slipped. This wasn't just another bad review. This was a reminder that prestige cannot be demanded, it has to be earned, and the internet is no longer buying what Meghan is selling. Let's start with the cold reality, because numbers don't lie, and algorithms don't care about titles. Meghan Markle's Netflix Season 2 did not dominate the charts the way her team clearly expected it to. This wasn't a quiet indie release. This was a globally promoted project backed by one of the biggest streaming platforms in the world. And yet, it failed to secure sustained top placement across major Netflix regions. That matters. Netflix success is no longer about debut hype, it's about retention, completion rates, and word-of-mouth momentum. The show simply didn't have it. People clicked out. People didn't finish. And most importantly, people didn't talk about it afterward. In streaming culture, silence is the loudest failure of all. Here's why this hurts Meghan more than it would hurt someone else. Meghan isn't just another creator, she positioned herself as a cultural disruptor, a voice of modern feminism, and a media reformer. That branding raises expectations sky high. When you frame your work as important, audiences expect depth, honesty, and emotional risk. What they got instead felt safe, curated, and distant. Rankings don't exist in a vacuum, they reflect emotional connection. And viewers clearly didn't feel one. This isn't hate. This is disengagement. And disengagement is far more damaging to a brand built on relevance. Now let's talk about Graham Norton, because this is where things turned from disappointing to humiliating. Norton didn't go on a rant. He didn't insult Meghan directly. He did something far worse in celebrity culture. He joked lightly, casually, dismissively. And that's the tell. When a respected mainstream broadcaster treats your project as a punchline or worse, as something not worth serious discussion, it signals a shift. It tells the audience, this is no longer untouchable. Comedy doesn't create narratives, it reflects them. Norton's moment didn't destroy the show, it confirmed what audiences were already feeling: fatigue. This is important, so listen closely. Graham Norton wasn't attacking Meghan as a person. He was responding to the cultural temperature. That distinction matters. Media figures don't mock what audiences love, they mock what audiences have stopped defending. And right now, Meghan's Netflix output doesn't have a protective fanbase strong enough to counter criticism. That's not misogyny. That's market reality. When even neutral commentators feel comfortable being dismissive, it means the brand no longer commands respect by default. Another major issue critics pointed out, and fairly so, is that the show feels over-engineered. Everything is polished. Everything is framed. Everything feels approved by committee. Modern audiences don't connect with perfection, they connect with vulnerability. Compare this to raw, personality-driven content that thrives on Netflix and YouTube. Meghan's show feels like it's talking at people instead of with them. That's a fatal flaw in 2025 media culture. You can't lecture audiences and expect loyalty. So why are people calling this a big failure? Because of scale. Because of resources. Because of promises. When someone with Meghan's platform underperforms, it becomes a story. Not because people hate her, but because she insisted she was different. She positioned herself as smarter than the system. And then the system quietly moved on without her. No outrage. No boycott. Just indifference. That's the nightmare scenario for any influencer or producer. Netflix isn't sentimental. Contracts don't guarantee cultural impact. If content doesn't perform, it doesn't get prioritized. Algorithms bury it. Marketing fades. And suddenly, the comeback becomes a cautionary tale. Meghan's Season 2 didn't crash because of enemies, it stalled because it failed to connect. And in this industry, that's unforgivable. This moment will stick to Meghan's media reputation not because it was scandalous, but because it was deflating. Big stars don't fall from scandals anymore. They fade through overexposure and underdelivery. Graham Norton's joke will be replayed not because it was cruel but because it felt accurate. And accuracy is what hurts most. If Meghan wants to survive in modern media, she has to stop trying to control the narrative and start earning trust again. Audiences aren't enemies. They're judges. And right now, their verdict is clear: they're not impressed.